Hi everybody, and welcome back to Story of a Startup. It's been a kind of couple of months now since I've done one of these podcasts. Done it with some guests, but not really told you what's going on with us as a business, which is kind of the start of why we started the podcast in the first place. So if you haven't listened, Story of a Startup's about two journeys, well, a few journeys really. One is mine and my startup business, and which is Social Instinct, and I kind of wanted to talk about what it's really like to have a business, if it's as easy as Instagram kind of says it is, and the real parts that actually go into it. And now that we're actually going through a bit of a growth, how hard that is, how hard it is to kind of manage people, and the whole process of hiring as well. Throughout the podcast as well, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what's going on with the business so far, and kind of a little bit about where I started the business off and where I wanted to go, and kind of where it's ended up, and how I'm going to try bring it back on track to what we originally set the business out to do. And then I'll just talk about the general process as well of growth, and the fact that we're actually hiring 3 new staff members, which are joining really soon. So that's exciting. So yeah, let's start kicking off. So for the kind of past, so it's probably say about 2 to 3 months since I've probably done one of these. It's kind of been a little bit crazy. We've lost some clients, we've gained some new clients, and now we basically have taken on 7 dental practices across the country, and we're basically doing their content creation, their social media management, their Google ads. Well, some of them we're going to be doing the Google ads and Facebook ads, and then the majority of them we're going to be doing the influencer management, as well as managing their growth of their social media platforms, mainly over Instagram. So, which is great that obviously we're kind of taking on so many clients, which then basically the hard part of this is what I'm finding is it's really hard to manage so many people's expectations. And as any kind of small business, and if you're an agency or if you're kind of growing in general with the business you're in, you might relate to this, because you start off going, okay, so this is easy, I can do 1 person, maybe 2 people. But when you're kind of managing, like, so for example, 7 clients, then you've got around about 3 to 4 people within that client base. So you've basically then got, not very good at maths, but you basically got 7 plus the 4, and then duplicate that. You've basically got that many personalities, plus you've got your team to manage. And you then have quite a lot of things, what you thought were easy, and in theory everything's still the same, but it's just a lot harder to manage all these people. And this is basically what's then brought me into obviously then hiring, and the hiring stage hasn't been easy. I mean, originally what my kind of thought process was going to be is that I have a senior person come in who would then report to me, as well as some of the other team members would report to me directly, and then that senior person would manage the rest of the team. So all the day-to-day stuff that I have to do, such as checking over some amends or kind of just checking if everyone's all right, that responsibility then would have been fed down to that person to manage, and then that would give me more free time to basically expand the business, which isn't the way that it's kind of gone. And the senior person that I kind of went out to hire, I couldn't really find anybody who met my expectations, and that's what the kind of frustration part was. Is as a kind of small business, you need to build a brand, you need to build reputation, you need to build a good reason for somebody to want to leave a job and want to come work for you. And that is, I suppose, a little bit hard when it comes to a small business, because in order to attract somebody who's coming from another agency or another kind of business, is more than likely you're going to have to pay them a lot more in order to attract them to even think about coming to you. And the thing with the small businesses as well is that we don't really have the budget to be able to do that. Even though we were offering a very competitive salary, it just didn't seem like the caliber of people who came through were kind of to my standard. There was one or two really good people. I'm not going to say that they weren't potential, because they were, but they weren't at the stage of where I needed them to be. I think from a commercial aspect and from an experience aspect, that they didn't meet that kind of criteria. So what we've done is kind of gone back, and we have hired 3 people. One is our new influencer manager. One is going to be a new social media exec. And even with that role, the social media exec role, it actually went out as a junior position, which we did find some good candidates as well. We thought there was a lot of people with a lot of prospect who can grow within the agency. But when we kind of realized that where the workload would start sitting and then the time of training, getting them up to a standard, for an extra couple grand, it just made more sense to bring somebody to a same standard as the rest of the team. So we found a really good person from there, and that was a crazy interview process. We literally just had the conversation in the morning via phone, jumped on a Zoom call around about 2:00, had a great conversation, and then that person basically, we offered the role later that day, and then we basically got a response today actually to say that they've accepted the offer, which is amazing. And like I said before, the hard part with any small business is to really get them to want to work here and to kind of be involved in a growth business, because there are always going to be risks. There's going to be things such as, say for example, if 1 or 2 of our clients decide to leave, then there's obviously going to be a pay kind of risk. There's always a risk that they might not like the role, and there's so many things that we have to kind of consider. But for me, I've always said to every single candidate that I've said is, this is a great opportunity to grow yourself, because you are going to be learning things. You're going to be on the go. You're basically going to be kind of doing a little bit of everything until you find your niche and what you're really good at. And I think with a small agency such as ourselves, because I've worked in big companies, is that you will push the boundaries and come out your comfort zone a lot more when you're kind of expected to do a little bit of everything. And you might basically come in as one certain role, say for example, social media executive, but then another part of it, then you could be helping with a pitch for new client work. You could be helping with one of our team members at the moment, is something that I'm going to talk about later on, is basically helping me put together our pitch deck for investment. So there's loads of little things from a small business perspective which can be a benefit, and also is also going to be a struggle, I would say, as well, because we're kind of trying to get people to do things that aren't their role specific. So it's kind of one of them things when you're joining a small business. It's going to be expected, because there's always going to be things that kind of pop up all the time, and you're needing people who are going to be adaptable and driven enough in order to want to push themselves in order to achieve the end goal. And as a team, everyone puts in the same effort. And that's what my expectations are with anybody I hire, basically. So yeah, a really good stage to be in is obviously growth. And that kind of ties into nicely into the next phase. So there's 2 parts to this when it comes to growth of the business. So I'm taking on an external business development department who basically will help us grow into areas that we haven't so much had the opportunity to explore. And I think because we're kind of very much focused on this whole dental world at the moment, it's kind of become a little bit of a frustration. And kind of like what I said at the start of the podcast, is that we weren't meant to be a dental social media agency. We basically set off to build brands for influencers, and for whatever reason, COVID, and obviously not getting that opportunity to do it so fast with the influencers, we obviously had to look at other avenues for revenue and obviously growth as well. So us basically then specializing in a niche, which is dentals and dental surgery and aesthetics, has given us the opportunity to be experts within that area. And then we basically can use that to fund team members, and equipment and everything that we then need in order to be equipped in order to go back out to the influencers. And obviously that gives us cash flow as well, which gives us a bit of experimentation. But because obviously if you've kind of listened to some of the previous podcasts, I'm not naive enough to know that all of a sudden one or two of our clients could decide to leave and everything kind of like falls back. So the good thing is that we've actually got a big buffer now, that shouldn't happen. And if it's a case of one client or two clients leaving, hopefully this new business development department that we're actually taking on will support us in then obviously getting different forms of clients, which shouldn't give us that much risk, which but and the opposite side means that if we do get other types of clients and we do have to expand, we might need to hire, and the kind of cycle goes on. But that's the fun of it. For me, that is what basically makes this agency so exciting, how agile we can be, and we have no limits. So the influencer manager who we're basically bringing in is going to help support me and kind of going back into that journey of having them conversations with the influencers, reaching out and looking for influencers who have prospects for us to build brands for, as well as obviously, like I said before in the previous podcast, as well as manage the talent management department that we're looking to achieve. And with the talent management, because it's just been myself so far, I'm really excited to have this person on board. It's going to help us get the opportunity to work with other brands, such as one of our talent has actually been approached by I Saw It First on a kind of deal basis, which is great. They're basically going to get exposure in that sense. And then I managed to basically get them to work with one of our other talent as well. I haven't actually told either of these girls yet because literally that news only came through like probably about 20 minutes ago. So as soon as I finish recording the podcast, I'll basically be jumping on just to let them know the situation. So that's where we are with that. And that kind of ties us nicely into the next phase of the business, which is going, like I said before, going back into building kind of influencer brands. So something that I'm kind of going into, which is completely new to me, and honestly, I'm kind of going in a bit blind, is looking for investment. So for me to grow this business, we need more money in order to, one, network with some of these influencers, because it takes time. Because say, for example, 5 years ago, to speak to an influencer, or either they probably didn't know they were an influencer or a creator at the time, it's probably a lot easier than it is now, because people have realized the power of a creator. People have realized how kind of important they can be because of the following that they have. So their managers are a lot more kind of wary about potential partnerships, very protective, which is fine. And that's what the managers are there to do, is to find out the best deals. But sometimes I do feel like the managers don't always get the best interest at heart for their talent, because some conversations I've had so far with some of the managers, they're always thinking about what's in it for them. If all of a sudden this influencer creates their own brand and makes X amount and that's their main focus, then what happens to all the other deals that come through, and then how can we potentially monetize that person because they're in contract with us? And that's basically what happens quite frequently. But it's a challenge that we have to have, but we need to overcome that with the management team. We need to build good relationships, and that's basically what will kind of give us that door to that world. And with the investment, we're basically looking to have a pot of money to be able to support these creators fund their projects, which basically means we'll get a higher percentage of the revenue, which is always a good thing. And we will basically help build kind of a team around the whole influencer structure and the creator economy that we're looking to build within the agency. And I've got way too many ideas. There's so many ideas that we've talked about how we can grow our brand within the creator economy world in order to get out there as much as possible, because I think we need to start thinking outside the box. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment. We're basically going out for investment for the first round. Exciting, scary, don't really know what to expect. I just kind of watch a lot of Dragon's Den and kind of say the value of the business now is X amount, which is something that we're working on. This is what percentage we're looking to get in order to achieve X amount back from the influencers, from the investors, and there's different types of investment I've kind of found so far is you've basically got private investors, such as angel investors, you probably heard the term of, who are very wealthy, individuals who have money who basically will invest into a business in order to then receive a kind of income or a buyout in a couple of years' time. So if they invest 25,000, they would expect, I don't know, just say for example, in 5 years' time, 500,000 back or whatever it might be, because of the growth of the business. So if they own 25% of the business because of that much, they will get 25% of the business if they were to look to sell their kind of shares within the business in X amount of time. And that's all depending on a couple of factors that they'll look at. They'll look at me as an owner, and they'll basically look at the business structure as well as kind of what's the case studies have been, what have we done previously, what gives us credibility to be able to build these brands. And that's basically what we're going to be trying to showcase a lot more when it comes to going out for pitching. And I'm no way delusional enough to think that I'm going to go out to one investor and just get the money that I want. This is going to be a process, and this is going to be time consuming, but it's going to hopefully be worth it in the end. The other side is, if you might not have heard it, it's called venture capitalists. So basically they're kind of businesses, and they basically then will invest. So they have a large pot of money, in normally within the millions to billions, and they basically go to either small to medium to technology businesses, and they have the potential to invest quite a lot into a business. And that's basically another option of what we have. I had my first call with a kind of introductory call with a venture capitalist on Monday, just to explain more about the business and where we basically are and where we were looking to go. And fingers crossed, somebody comes and really believes in our dream and our vision, and helps us achieve that basically. So yeah, I mean, exciting times. I'll let you know how we get on with the investment, if it actually happens, if it doesn't, if it does. If not, then we've obviously got plan B and C to kind of back us up from there. The last thing is, because of all the dental work, and it's kind of a weird one why we're doing this, but we're basically building a e-commerce business within the business. And because we've done so much dental work, we know the demand for things like teeth whitening products. So we're basically building an internal brand called Shine for teeth whitening. And that'll consist of kind of teeth whitening products, which isn't nothing new. And there are other competition out there, competitors out there who are already doing this and doing it really well. But we've basically seen that some of their marketing and some of their branding isn't the best. And that's basically what we believe will differentiate us. This will also give us an amazing case study around our journey of building a brand. One, can we make it work for ourselves? And can we do the whole influencer marketing strategy, the Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and everything that comes into building a whole brand? Can we do that for ourselves before we go out and say we can do it for others as well? So we're basically doing this as a kind of experiment, which could potentially turn into a very profitable business, because there are companies out there making millions from selling these teeth whitening kits. And one, it's a very profitable business. Secondly, it's a very good case study if we can do it. And then it'll basically open up a lot more doors as well. So the team's done a great job so far in kind of creating the brand, creating the packaging, creating the kind of tone of voice, what we're looking to achieve. And then as soon as the product's been developed and it's here and it's in the office to start selling, we'll start selling that, and we'll basically document the whole journey of Shine as well, which I think will be a really exciting journey for quite a lot of people to kind of understand the kind of way of building an e-commerce business and a successful business. And I'm not looking to kind of do this to make an extra kind of grand or two a month to the business and to overall social instincts. I'm looking to do this to make it a very profitable, probably around about £80,000 to £100,000 a month income source, which hopefully then will convince other people to want to work with us. So that's where we are at the moment. And I think there's lots of kind of cool things happening over the next kind of couple of months. I think there's a lot of opportunity is about to happen. And I'm really hoping that the 3 people that we've just hired are going to embed and really help me grow the business as much as possible. So yeah, really exciting. I'm going to keep this podcast really short and sweet. Thought I'd just jump on just to let you know exactly what's been going on, where we're at the moment, and keep listening and supporting. So if you are liking the podcast, please like, subscribe, share. Share it over, I don't know whichever platform you're going to be watching this on, but please share it. I think it's good to kind of talk about the hardships of actually owning a business, and showcasing that it's harder than people think it is, to be honest, especially when you start growing through this little mini growth stage. And if you are listening and you do want to come and tell your story, please let me know. If you email contact@socialinstinct.co.uk, one of the team will basically be back in touch. And then you can share your journey as well. So please let me know, and then we'll speak soon. All right, bye.